Everyone's got their go-to-Halloween watch list. The masked slashers, the sequels that won't stay dead. The ones that swear they're based on a true story. But buried beneath those icons is a different breed of fright. The strange, the stylish, the forgotten. The films that slipped through the cracks but captured the decade's unsettling energy far better than any blockbuster. So, tonight, we're peeling back the layers of time back to the 1970s to unearth 10 overlooked horror gems that deserve a permanent spot in your October marathon. Before haunted mansions were overcrowded with CGI ghouls, there was the legend of Hell House, a cold sweat seance that treated the supernatural like experimental science. Written by Richard Matheson and directed by John Hawke, it sends a team of researchers into what one of them calls the Mount Everest of haunted houses. At first, it's polite. Cups rattle, chandeliers sway. A black cat leaps from the shadows on cue. Then the house starts touching back. Psychic experiments turn sensual. Machines meant to measure spirits begin to act alive. And one researcher's wife slips into a trance that feels indecently intimate for a PG rating. It's a film about repression and possession. Prim, British, and then completely unbuttoned. Slick, eerie, and strangely erotic Hell House is everything you hope to find on a forgotten October night. Polished on the surface, possessed underneath. Next, a film that replaces gore with grim philosophy. The Asphyx stars Robert Powell as a Victorian scientist obsessed with the idea that every soul has its own personal angel of death, a spirit he believes can be trapped. With the help of his colleague, played by Robert Stevens, he attempts to imprison that spirit, to defy mortality itself. The result? Not terrifying tragic. Their ghostly experiments glow with eerie blue light. Life and death operate on clockwork mechanisms like some grim parlor trick. It's slow, dense with atmosphere, and full of gothic melancholy. The kind of film you'd stumble across on a dusty classroom projector at midnight. And here's a fun fact. It's reportedly one of Martin Scorsese's favorite horror films. If your Halloween tastes lean toward candlelit science and doomed obsession, The Asphyx is begging for resurrection. By the mid-70s, Hammer Films was starting to decay like one of its own Dracula corpses. Then came Captain Kronos, a swashbuckling jolt of creativity written and directed by Brian Clemens. Gone are the fainting maidens and static castles. Instead, we get a sword-wielding vampire killer stalking the countryside like a gothic gunslinger. He's joined by his hunchbacked assistant and Carla, runaway gypsy, played by the magnetic Caroline Munro. Here, vampires don't drink blood, they steal youth. It's part fantasy, part horror western, dripping with that signature Hammer-style velvet cloaks, blood-red skies, and organ music you can almost smell. Kronos never spawned a franchise, but looking back, it stands as one of Hammer's sharpest fangs. No deep dive into 70s horror is complete without a little Vincent Price. In The Abominable Dr. Phibes, Price plays a disfigured genius avenging his wife's death through murders themed after the 10 plagues of Egypt. Frogs, boils, blood, you name it. Each kill is a forbidden art piece, golden masks, mechanical orchestras, and lavish death traps choreographed like opera. Director Robert Fewest blends horror with psychedelic Art Deco surrealism. It's campy, creepy, and strangely moving. Even the sequel Dr. Phibes Rises Again keeps that macabre elegance. If Universal's classic monsters were gothic poetry, Phibes is glam rock revenge. A Valentine to vengeance wrapped in brass and velvet. While American theaters chased slashers, Britain stayed loyal to the anthology thanks to Amicus Productions, their crown jewel, From Beyond the Grave. Tied together by Peter Cushing's sinister antique shop, Temptations Limited, each story explores a cursed object and a worse fate. David Warner purchases a mirror that reveals something hungry in his reflection. Donald Pleasance gifts his daughter's suitor a cursed dagger. Ian Ogilvy installs a mysterious door into another dimension. But Margaret Leighton steals the whole film as a dizzy psychic battling an invisible entity perched on a dinner guest's shoulder. There's little blood but plenty of dread, irony, and flickering candlelight. It's the perfect fireside horror, cozy and poisonous. David Warner purchases a mirror that reveals something hungry in his reflection. Donald Pleasance gifts his daughter's suitor a cursed dagger. Ian Ogilvy installs a mysterious door into another dimension. But Margaret Leighton steals the whole film as a dizzy psychic battling an invisible entity perched on a dinner guest's shoulder. There's little blood but plenty of dread, irony, and flickering candlelight. It's the perfect fireside horror, cozy and poisonous. Shot for the cost of a used hearse around $30,000, The Child proves that atmosphere always beats budget. It opens like a ghost story. A young governess arrives at a fog-drenched farmhouse to care for a girl named Rosalie. But Rosalie has a gift: she can summon the dead. Soon, skeletal hands burst from the ground, obeying her every moody command. The sets are worn, the effects are crude, but the lighting is haunting, the wind never stops whispering, and the fog is thick enough to choke a cemetery. Is it scary? Sometimes. Cheap? Absolutely. But it feels cursed, like an unlabeled VHS you find in an attic. A seance on tape that shouldn't work, but does. What if Clue, the most dangerous game, and the Wolfman collided at 80 miles an hour? You'd get the Beast Must Die, genre-bending blend of mystery, horror, and blaxploitation. Calvin Lockhart plays a millionaire big-game hunter who invites a group of suspicious guests to his remote mansion. One of them, he claims, is a werewolf. Hidden cameras, silver bullets, and a whole lot of suspicion follow. Then, right before the finale, the screen stops and we get a werewolf break. 60 seconds to guess the monster. The movie reveals the truth. Absurd? Definitely. Fun? Absolutely. Only the 70s could attempt something this bold and truly commit to it. What happens when British politeness hides a chainsaw? Directed by Pete Walker, Frightmare follows Dorothy Yates, a recently released asylum patient living a quiet life with her husband Edmund, except she's quietly murdering people again, using tarot cards as lures and power tools as punctuation. Her family remains oblivious. The horror seeps in not from dark forests but from places like kitchen tables, teacups, and gentle smiles. And Sheila Keith phenomenal. Her performance is equal parts grandma and ghoul. When the film dared critics to see the movie that shocked them, it meant it. Even now, Frightmare feels like eavesdropping on madness through lace curtains. Some films are too weird to stay dead. Psychomania blends biker rebellion with ritual resurrection and somehow makes it work. Tom Latham leads a motorcycle gang called the Living Dead. His mother, deep into the occult, tells him death is a doorway if you truly believe. He proves it by riding his bike off a bridge, then comes back, alive, leather jacket and all. Soon, his gang follows, offing themselves in creative ways and returning from the grave to terrorize the living. It's punk, it's pop art, it's nuts in the best way. Frog-eyed helmets, fuzz guitar riffs, and a finale that feels like a seance held mid-wheelie. It shouldn't work, and yet, it's glorious. Our final pick isn't just underrated, it's immortal. Yes, we mentioned Phibes earlier, but Dr. Phibes Rises again deserves its own spotlight. This time, he trades the rainy streets of London for Egyptian sands, in search of the mythical river of life to resurrect his lost love. Every scene glows like stained glass, the murders, elaborate puzzles written in brass and blood. Price, ever the master, turns Phibes into less of a villain and more of a conductor wielding death like a symphony. It's beautiful, it's bizarre, it's unforgettable. The perfect curtain call for a decade obsessed with horror and grandeur. So there you have it, 10 forgotten nightmares from the 1970s that deserve one more midnight screening. They may not have the name power of Halloween or The Exorcist, but each one reveals a different face of fear, elegant, eccentric, deliciously alive. So when you build your Halloween queue this year, slip one of these films between the usual suspects and see how quickly it starts to haunt you. And if you enjoyed this trip through the shadowy reels of forgotten terror, you know what to do? Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, and join us next time for another descent into the archives of horror.